All right, guys, we're getting ready to get into Lake Murray. Yes, the dead of winter, but you couldn't tell. Good thing there's no thermometer on your television set, right? Stay with us. We're getting ready to go down and find the railroad tracks at the bottom of Lake Murray. Stay with us. All right, guys, well, this morning we're at Watery Dive Shop here on St. Andrews Road, getting ready for a little dive in Lake Murray. I know what you're thinking. Yes, it's the dead of winter. Andy from Watery Dive Center here. Dead of winter, but that doesn't mean you can't dive. Really, diving can be a year-round sport.
People dive year-round in South Carolina. We've got, like I say, same good spots we have in the summertime.
Right.
Hardy divers keep going year-round.
The hardy divers. Me, not so much. The hardy divers, experienced divers like Andy here. Of course, there's rumors there's hot holes up in the upstate. You know, you can go in and get a little warmer dive. But even the water now is going to be, what, 50, 60?
56, 58, somewhere in there if we're lucky.
What is it during the summertime, like in Lake Murray, for instance?
Surface temp will be up to 80, maybe 90 degrees on a real warm
day.
day.
So we're talking about 30-degree difference today for this dive.
At least.
Oh, wonderful.
And air temperature's what, 32 this morning? So you've got to put a lot of factors in there.
A little chilly, that is for sure. This morning we're going to show you some of the gear, though, that divers use to stay a little more comfortable. I wouldn't say warm, because that's probably not going to happen. Maybe a little more comfortable and safe, because you can come out with your family. As long as you're experienced, have the right gear, you can certainly do that. What are we looking for today on Lake Murray?
I think we could go out there and we'll just check out conditions. It's the first time we've been in cold water. There's little railroad tracks down to dam. We'll see if we can find them.
Little railroad, that's kind of cool.
Do a little navigation.
Navigation. We're going to go find some stuff. It's a lot of fun. Remember, you know, diving is a great thing for the family, for anybody who wants to do it. But it's cool. It's really it's like a last frontier adventure. You're going to actually find something cool for yourself. All right, guys, so we're going to be diving this morning here with Watery Dive Center. Our friend Rhett from DNR is going to join us as well to make sure that we're safe, right?
Yeah, we need some help.
That's right. I understand there's great big catfish down there. Maybe bring his gun. I'm not sure. But, guys, we're going to show you some of the gear and get wet today on this Tyler's Travels Dive South Carolina special. Stay with us. So if you love scuba diving, and I hope you do, or at least maybe considering getting into this really, really cool sport, just because it's wintertime does not mean you can't continue to dive. You just got to do it right. Andy here from Watery Dive Center. Really, it comes down to two things, comfort and safety, because you got to do it safely anytime you dive, but it's no fun to be shivering while you're 20 feet underwater.
Definitely got to watch the cool factor in the water.
Right, right.
You want to be cool diving, but in cold water, you got to watch the cool factor.
The cool, and I don't mean the Fonzie stuff either, right? So
exactly.
what kind of gear might be different when you're diving, say, here in the dead of winter versus summertime?
Yeah. Well, typically in summer months, we're going to have a dive skin or a shorty type wetsuit or thinner wetsuit, which
we've got a few different versions. So this is like the really thin little shorty short, real thin, comfortable wetsuit you'd wear probably in July.
Yeah, definitely warm water suits. Going into the cooler waters, maybe you put a two-piece suit on so you get a little bit more core protection.
Okay.
Still got a little bit of arm and leg protection.
Now, this is what's called a 3 millimeter, and that talks about the actual thickness of the wetsuit itself, right? Okay, that's a 3, and you get a little thicker here.
A little colder water, that's a 7 mil suit. That's an old working suit there, so it's a little season there.
Sure, but as long as it keeps you warm. And then, of course, we talked about the dry suit, and Sergeant Rhett Bickley from South Carolina DNR is here actually working on his dry suit. And what's this one actually do for you?
What a dry suit will do for you is it's got waterproof zippers, neck seals, wrist seals, got the boots built into them.
Right.
And like I say, it keeps water out of the suit, and your actual insulation will come from the undergarments that you wear. So you can have that exposure to cold water on your body.
Sure, so you're a little bit warm. You can actually wear other stuff underneath, and so you stay dry, physically dry.
You'll get your warmth and insulation from the undergarment, like underwear. We have like ski suits basically underneath them.
Okay, and we're talking about actually footwear. If you're not going to do a dry suit but you want to stay warm, there's also, it looks like some thicker booties and things you can wear too. This is the normal one you'd wear in the summer. It's pretty lightweight. You put that with your fin, right? And then you've got, this one's a little bit thicker on there as well.
Yeah, a little thicker boots.
Right.
And the other thing is your hands.
To it.
A lot of places your hands, you don't even wear gloves. But in the warmer months, again, we'll have thinner gloves.
Right.
You go to like a 3 mil glove around here for the
so this one's a little bit thicker than you might wear. You lose a little dexterity, but again, your hands are going to be warm and a lot more comfortable as you go down.
And things to remember with your gloves too. Dexterity is the key thing. You want to be able to still feel your equipment, be able to do your emergency skills, handle your BC inflator, weight belt removal, etc. But like I say, keep your hands cool so they're warm so that you can still do that.
Get comfortable. And diving is such a great sport. You really can do with family thing. It really can be kids and husbands and wives and just groups of friends can really go down and experience underwater. It doesn't matter really what time of year it is.
Correct.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to go down today. We're going to look for the railroad tracks off Lake Murray Dam here in just a little while, and it is going to be darn cold, I think. But I think we're ready to suit up, get all the gear together. We're going to stay as warm as we can. We'll kind of go down there and find it, and we're going to try to find that railroad track together this morning on this Tireless Travels Dive, South Carolina. Stay with us. We're coming back from Watery Dive Center.
The Dreher Shoals Dam, commonly referred to as the Lake Murray Dam, stretches 1.5 miles connecting Lexington and Irmo, and is responsible for ensuring that the 50,000 acres that make up the lake stays full, not only for recreation for the entire Midlands to enjoy, but as a provider of hydropower for the area. The dam itself stands 220 feet high, is over 5,700 feet long, and 150 feet wide. The dam was built in 1929 by the Lexington Water and Power Company, now known as SCE&G, to provide much-needed power for the quickly growing city of Columbia and the influx of mills and industry. At the time of its completion, it was known as the world's largest man-made reservoir. The land that would become Lake Murray was purchased from landowners. About 2,000 men were paid 50 cents a day to clear the land and build the area that would be required to create the largest earthen dam in the world, at least at its time. The lake, since its completion in 1929, has served many more purposes than providing power to the area. Not only is it home to residents along the 500 miles of shoreline, it's the premier destination for summer recreation and fun in the sun. The lake also served as a training area for the famous Doolittle raid on Japan during World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. In fact, it was just off Lake Murray Dam, under 100 feet of water, that a B-25 bomber rested for over 60 years after a training mishap. In 2005, teams from across the country, including the Rubicon Foundation, returned the bomber to the light of day. And even today, history exists under the surface of the lake. From the angels that have been left for underwater explorers to a cemetery that remains the final resting place of loved ones buried over a century ago. Also located near the dam are reported to be the railroad tracks themselves that were used to build the dam over 80 years ago. It's these tracks that make up our objective today as we head back into history and dive South Carolina. In the late 1920s, the Lexington Power and Water Company created a 5,700-foot-long, 213-foot-high dam in order to harness hydropower for the quickly growing area. To help facilitate the creation of what was to be the largest man-made reservoir of its day, construction crews used railroad cars to move dirt, rocks, and other needed items. As the area began to flood and Lake Murray became, well, a lake, much of the created infrastructure was left behind and is reported to still exist under the surface of the lake. The Dive South Carolina team, along with the assistance of the Watery Dive Center, the Department of Natural Resources, and Aquafund Boat Rentals, decided to head down on a chilly winter afternoon and try to find history at the bottom of the lake. We plan to dive just off the Irmo side of the dam. Using underwater compasses and navigation, we would search for markers left by previous divers with the hope of finding some of the tracks used to create Lake Murray. Cold or chilly water diving adds a level of difficulty, even for experienced divers. So more preparation, warmer gear, and extra caution are used when planning and executing the dive. Once we had suited up and we had taken one more look at the area from the boat, it was time to go swimming. I have to admit, even with a wetsuit and a hood, the 50-degree Lake Murray water was a bit jarring, but we had come to go down, and that's where we were headed. Lake Murray is notorious for its lack of good visibility under the water, due to the amount of activity, both man-made and natural, that impact clarity in the warmer months. But on this December day, the water was pretty clear, for Lake Murray standards. Using navigation techniques, we headed in the general direction we believed the tracks to be. And after several minutes, we found a flag left by another diver, giving us hope that we were on the right, well, track. As we continued on, we came across another flag and some rather large boulders that were probably unearthed with the excavation for the dam. After finding no real indication of the tracks, we headed back to the surface to regroup and evaluate our progress. With the water going from rather chilly to downright cold, we decided to take one more trip down in hopes of finding the tracks. Swimming down about 25 feet, with the water cooling even more, out of seemingly nowhere, a railroad tie appeared. We had found what we went down for, one of the tracks used to build the dam and create the lake nearly 3 generations ago. As I followed the tracks, I tried to imagine working the lines and moving the earth to create the lake, all for 50 cents a day in 1928. After several minutes, and yes, even a selfie, it was time to return to present day and warmth. But as chilly as it was, an adventure like that was totally worth it.
All right, guys, so yet again, another successful dive, Watery Dive Center, of course, Aquafun Boat Rentals, Ken Jones as well. So we found the railroad tracks that ran along and actually built, Lake Murray built the dam anyway, back in about, what, 29 or so, right?
Yes, late 20s, I believe.
When you talk about navigation when you're down there, because I almost gave up, I got to be honest. I almost gave up. Brett's like, I think we got it. What are some of the skills you need to develop when you're down?
Yeah. Number one, buoyancy control. And that's one thing that happened. We hit a little ridge and got some bad visibility, and just staying balanced and being able to stay on a compass, it was a skill. So
sure.
That takes buoyancy control, comfort in the water. Adverse conditions with the temperature. We had a bottom temp of 55,
55.
And the other thing that's kind of cool is a bunch of striper came up and really messed up the visibility that we did have.
Right.
So we'd have clear water, then we have some clouds. And we got through it and we hit it.
Sure enough, it's right here. One of the adventures you can actually find under the water here, Lake Murray. A lot of great waterways, a lot of the history, and that's kind of the coolest thing. Is you get down, you can find stuff that nobody else knows. If your car's driving across the bridge, they have no idea what's down right there. And that's kind of the coolest thing. I want to thank Watery Dive Center for making the dive happen. Of course, Ken Jones, Aquafun Boat Rentals, on his boat yet again, brother. Thanks for keeping us safe and keeping it afloat, right?
Anytime.
And of course, Sergeant Rick Bickley with South Carolina DNR. Put up links for you for everything here, but also some links for you as well about diving, understanding water safety, and really how to get your family involved. It really is a really neat sport, not cost prohibitive in the bigger picture, and it's just a really, really cool thing to do, even, yes, in the dead of winter. All right, guys, stay with us. Go ahead.
I would say, and we hit the Polar Express today.
The Polar Express.